Hello fellow gardeners and soil stewards, welcome back to the Humus Heritage, where we explore the fascinating world beneath our feet and uncover methods that truly transform our gardens from the ground up. Today we're exploring something that might raise your eyebrows at first, but I promise you'll walk away with a completely new perspective on building thriving, microbe-rich soil. What if I told you there's a secret weapon for your garden that's been overlooked for years, and it involves something as unexpected as dog food? Get ready to have your mind blown as we unveil a composting method that doesn't just recycle pet waste, but transforms it into an incredible microbe multiplier, unlocking unparalleled plant growth. This isn't your grandma's compost pile. For decades, conventional gardening wisdom has pushed us towards synthetic fertilizers as the answer to lackluster gardens. We've been conditioned to think that feeding plants directly with quick-release nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium is the key to success. However, this approach comes with hidden costs that extend far beyond your wallet. Synthetic fertilizers contribute to nutrient runoff that pollutes waterways, gradually degrades soil structure by killing beneficial organisms, and creates a dependency cycle where plants require ever-increasing applications to maintain growth. Gardens relying solely on these conventional methods often display shallow root systems, poor drought resistance, and vulnerability to pests and diseases despite looking superficially green. The fundamental problem is that we've been focusing on feeding plants rather than feeding soil. Healthy soil isn't just an inert growing medium that holds plants upright while we pour nutrients onto roots. It's a living, breathing ecosystem teeming with billions of microorganisms that form intricate relationships with plant roots, cycling nutrients, improving water retention, and creating soil structure that supports vigorous growth. When we shift our mindset from plant feeding to soil health, we open up entirely new possibilities for creating gardens that are resilient, productive, and sustainable without constant inputs. Here's where things get interesting. Dog food, particularly the dry kibble variety, is essentially a concentrated package of exactly what soil microbes crave. Think about its composition: high-quality proteins that break down into amino acids, fats that provide dense energy sources, and carbohydrates that fuel bacterial and fungal populations. These are precisely the building blocks that beneficial soil organisms need to multiply rapidly and establish thriving colonies in your garden beds. Early experiments with small test patches have revealed remarkable results. Gardeners who've incorporated properly composted dog food into their soil amendments have observed noticeably darker, richer soil texture within weeks, along with plants displaying deeper green foliage, stronger stems, and more vigorous root development compared to control areas. The difference isn't subtle, it's the kind of transformation that makes you stop and take a second look at what's happening beneath the surface. To understand why dog food works so spectacularly as a microbial activator, we need to examine what happens at the microscopic level. When crushed dog food enters a properly managed compost system, it immediately becomes a feast for bacteria and fungi. The proteins, which typically range from 20 to 30% of dog food composition, decompose into nitrogen compounds that fuel explosive bacterial growth. These bacteria are the workhorses of nutrient cycling, converting complex organic materials into forms plants can readily absorb. The fats in dog food, often comprising 10 to 20% of the formulation, provide incredibly dense energy sources for fungi. Beneficial fungal networks, particularly mycorrhizae, form these amazing symbiotic relationships with plant roots, extending their reach far beyond what roots alone could achieve and, honestly, dramatically improving nutrient and water uptake. Meanwhile, the carbohydrates feed diverse microbial populations that produce enzymes breaking down organic matter, create soil aggregates that improve structure, and generate compounds that suppress plant diseases. Now for the practical guidance you've been waiting for. Successfully composting dog food requires attention to detail and proper management, but the rewards are absolutely worth the effort. The first critical rule is maintaining proper carbon to nitrogen ratios. Dog food acts as a nitrogen-rich green material, so you must balance it with approximately 3 parts carbon-rich brown materials like dried leaves, shredded paper, or wood chips for every 1 part dog food. Always bury the crushed dog food deeply within the center of your active compost pile. This placement serves two essential purposes. It minimizes odors that could become problematic in residential settings, and it makes the material inaccessible to pests like rodents, raccoons, and flies that would otherwise be attracted to the high protein content. Using an enclosed composting system, whether a sealed bin, tumbling composter, or specialized unit designed for handling animal products, is strongly recommended over open piles for pest management. Temperature management becomes crucial when composting dog food. You need to maintain hot composting conditions, with internal pile temperatures reaching at least 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and ideally sustained above 140 degrees for several days. The benefits of this approach extend far beyond what you might initially imagine. Gardens enriched with properly composted dog food amendments display improved soil structure that resists compaction, enhanced water retention that reduces irrigation needs, increased nutrient availability through active microbial cycling, and stronger plant immunity against pests and diseases. You'll reduce or eliminate your dependence on expensive synthetic fertilizers while building soil that becomes more fertile and productive with each passing season. However, safety considerations are paramount. Never compost dog feces, which contains harmful bacteria and parasites that survive typical composting processes and pose serious health risks. Ensure your compost bin is completely secure and inaccessible to pets, as decomposing food can produce tremorgenic mycotoxins that are highly toxic and potentially fatal to dogs if ingested. This method represents a fundamental shift in how we think about garden inputs and soil health. Rather than viewing soil as something we pour nutrients onto, we're cultivating a living ecosystem that sustains itself through microbial activity and organic matter cycling. The dog food serves as a catalyst, jump-starting populations of beneficial organisms that continue providing benefits long after the initial application. Are you ready to transform your garden from the ground up? Start with a small test area. Follow these guidelines carefully and observe the remarkable changes that unfold in your soil and plants. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to the Humus Heritage for more innovative gardening techniques that work with nature rather than against it. Share this video with fellow gardeners who are ready to take their soil health to the next level, and leave a comment sharing your experiences and questions. Together, we're building a community of gardeners who understand that healthy soil is the foundation of everything we grow. Happy composting!